Teledentistry, what is it? Go to teledentistry.operadds.com to find out how you can completely change how we bring in new patients, giving them the ability to send photos and video before you ever talk to them. Go to teledentistry.operadds.com. Welcome to the Operatory Podcast, the podcast about burying the dinosaurs in dentistry, moving past outdated technology and procedures to find a better way. With me, as always, is David Pryor. How are you doing, sir?
Good. How are you, Bryan?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, once again, for providing the patient perspective on our podcast.
Well, I don't know how good a job I'm going to do today. I'm without Red Bull or a Mountain Dew.
Oh, yes. Yes, and Dave and I went to lunch before this, and they actually removed the Mountain Dew button from the place where we go, and there's like a bunch of other sodas, like
well, it was like
avocados,
generic
whatever
soda.
So, yeah, like we need new sodas. I mean, I was sitting at home going, man, there's not enough types of soda.
Oh, I can bring you to some place that's got a million different types of soda.
Yeah, we actually, as a family, went to the Coke Museum or whatever, where they had stuff from all over the world. Yeah. And there was, let's say there was 1,000 sodas. Yeah. I'd say 995 were pure dog crap. Yeah. And then there's the 5 that are good. Right? Yeah. So no, we didn't need more, but it was fun because there's no. So I'm sorry for your loss, Dave. So your patient perspective, vitally important, as we always know. Okay. But in this one, it's going to be a good one because I was at this conference, the health conference, HLTH. We may have mentioned it before on the podcast, but it was great because it was about innovation in healthcare. It was the first non-dental trade show that I've gone to that wasn't dental or technology. I've been to VR because of Opera VR, their therapeutic virtual reality solution. I've been to medicine in VR and stuff, but I haven't been to a general innovation in healthcare conference before. So this was the first one, and it was fantastic. I learned a ton, a lot about the differences between medicine and dentistry, which are vast. I mean, vast, particularly when it comes to like payers, like insurance obviously is very different. But there was one sentence during the entire 3 days in Vegas that I could not believe. It was a venture capitalist in medicine who actually had invested into a dental company that was kind of like a Smile Direct Club, or Invisalign, a clear aligner competitor. And this was her quote, okay? She said 70%, and I wrote down so I didn't screw it up. She said 70% of fillings done in dentistry are not needed. Dentistry is ripe with fraud, waste, and abuse. That was her quote from the stage as a panel. And, probably
in a room full of dentists.
No.
Okay.
No. I was with somebody else that I work with who we looked at each other like, what? and I was like, I couldn't believe it. Yeah. Now, said it matter-of-factly, which, we have an audience and we could say stuff all the time. But like this, we're talking about, they had Mark Cuban was speaking at this thing. They had the new head of Walmart Health and all, these were not people without knowledge of medicine, right? Probably not much knowledge of dentistry, obviously, but that's what she said. Yeah. And I was a little bit enraged because I don't feel that. What? No. My kids are very happy that you said that. Thanks, Dave. For those of you that don't know, it's Forky on Disney Plus. But they'll be coming up in the future episodes for sure. But I do not feel that 70% of fillings are not needed. I mean, I think that I see dentists like having this internal struggle about, I can't cut teeth. Should I actually do this? And so I don't think that's true. I mean, is there fraud, waste, and abuse in dentistry? Yes, just like there's in every industry. Ripe? No, right. No. Right. But obviously they had asked her this question because she probably had recently invested into a dental company. right?
Yeah.
I should put in quotes dental company, just like Smile Direct Club is kind of a dental company, right?
Sure.
And as we've talked about in a previous episode, we've in dentistry, I believe, have engendered this environment. We've fostered this environment where this is a relatively common idea. And, now I see that, we have a teledentistry application in Opera DDS for that, and we're coming out with some external teledentistry applications. A competing one, a teledental application, actually is charging for second opinions. So they have, if you pay them like $30 as a patient, you can get a second opinion on your tooth. And I think it's interesting because we live in a world where 40% of people roughly actually see a dentist every year, but there's this mass sort of mistrust with dentists, where maybe not people think that 70% of all fillings are not needed, but that person did and said it from the stage. And it made me really kind of see the need for calibration, as we've talked about on this podcast. The actually knowing why you're doing something, having it documented, and then just doing it that way every time. Does that make sense? Do you agree?
Well, and we've talked about things similar to this in the past, and at least you and I have, where, what part of dentistry is art and what part is science. And so, when somebody throws out a bold number like that 70% of fillings are not required, I'm like, what?
Yeah. First, how are you qualified to even assess that?
Right.
Where did you read that? And what are their qualifications? But you bring up a great point about art versus science. I, like other dentists, take pride in the fact that dentistry is a melding of art and science. But there has to be a basis in science for everything we do, right? Yeah. And that's not art. If I could wave a magic wand, and you're gonna
the
know
visual of Bryan,
you know where I'm going.
Visualize Bryan and his magic wand. Got it.
I wish I just bought my daughter a book on Harry Potter spells, but I have no idea. Otherwise, I'd say one. If I could wave my dentariosum,
Dracarys,
yes, and have a magic box that could diagnose and treatment plan the patient's mouth.
Yeah.
Why would I and have it be based completely on science?
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of people that would not want that.
Yeah, I can believe that because they're
wrong.
Right.
They're wrong.
Right.
Right. I mean, and it's a little bit, it's blowing my mind. I shared with you before the podcast. I was talking to this company where we're looking at doing. I'm part of like some AI things, and a couple companies are working on artificial intelligence reading radiographs, and they'll tell you whether or not they can't tell you whether or not there's a cavity, but it'll point out areas of concern. And it's really hard to calibrate these AI engines because they're saying, well, the way that they look at cavities in Japan is different than the way they look at them in Minnesota or in Kalamazoo or in, Dublin. No. Teeth have cavities or they don't have cavities, or we don't know because our diagnostic tools aren't good enough. There's no art there.
Right.
There should be no art there. That blows my mind. And now I don't think that people are knowingly creating this world where this person gets on stage and says that 70% of fillings are not required. But if we're avoiding standardization within the industry, we are promoting the type of environment where she can go up there on stage and say that, and people in the audience are going, oh, that makes sense, right? Why everybody else didn't look at each other like I looked at the other guy in dentistry and went, what? I mean, everybody in the audience, somebody should have raised their hand and been like, yeah, you're full of crap, but they didn't, Everybody was like nodding like, oh, yeah. Yeah, so she's got that statistic, must be correct. So from the patient's perspective, How does that make you feel that what we're talking about?
Well, certainly from my perspective, anytime I hear an incredibly shocking number like that, I get very, very skeptical. So that to me rings false. If somebody says 70% of dental procedures are unneeded, I just can't. I can't believe it. I don't think that the industry is.
Well, what if it was 30%? Was that better? Yeah, it's better.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot better, but I mean still there's again, you and I have talked about the art and science debate. So is there you're saying that you either have a cavity or you don't. And so, and I'm like, well, there are varying degrees of cavity, and at what point do you have to get something done?
That's known. Like if you look, you can open up a textbook.
Yeah.
Great point.
Yeah.
I can open up a textbook and give you that answer, right? If the cavity has progressed through the enamel, this is what I was taught in dental school, and it's into dentin, then you do a filling. Then it's a cavity that we have to address. Now, you can make arguments that, if it's not through there, or maybe you can use some type of, like, how do you treat caries that's not through the enamel, and where there's some gray area there, but because there's gray area about, well, fluoride can reverse it or not reverse it, or how should we intercede, like those debates are the fringe cases.
Yeah.
They're not the volume cases. And I think we as professionals who are in the space love to argue the rare cases, the 5%, not agree on the 95%.
Sure.
Right? And that is because we love to argue and say, no, I'm right, no, you're wrong, right? And you post we've talked about on the podcast before, you post a picture on any dental board and you'll start a fight. It doesn't even matter what it is and what you did. Somebody's going to tell you you're wrong, and then they're wrong, and then there's an argument surrounding it. And rather than everybody going, oh, that looks good, and then maybe talk about the art, like, oh, that maybe next time if you had your angulation 5 degrees more to the mesial on that lateral incisor, it would look a little better. That's where the art kind of comes in, right? And which is really based in science, frankly. But the arguing about the minute details is really what's led to this. Led to the spot where people don't trust dentists because why would you? If I posted a picture of my mouth and as a patient, you can tell me if you agree with this or not. But if I was like, hey, 10 dentists, what should I do here? And I got 10 different answers.
Yeah.
I think dentists are full of crap too. That's not the way it is. It's just that it's 10 different shades of the same answer most of the time.
Well, certainly for me, getting into the dental chair, very rarely is there something done, like, just had a crown and I didn't have there was no pain before I had the crown. It was just like, here's the crack, here's where it's going to cause a problem for you. It's not a problem today, but it's going to be a bigger problem. And if you crack this, then it's a root canal, blah, blah, blah. It turned into that whole thing. I'm like, well, let's crown it up, and so I can see how patients, we don't know if my tooth doesn't hurt, okay, but by the time your tooth hurts, now you got a big problem, right?
Yeah. Well, and so if I took a picture of your tooth before we did the crown and posted it online, for sure. I mean, I don't know what percentage of dentists would say, that you should crown that, what percent would, but I can tell you, out of 100 dentists, it's not like 100 would be going, yes, that's what you should do.
Right.
Right. There, maybe it's 50-50, 70-30, 80-20. I have no idea.
I would love to post that picture and see what happens.
We should.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. We're
authorized.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, I'm not going to say it's Dave. Oh, now everybody who listens to the podcast will know it's Dave's tooth, but it's also on record that you authorized it. But it's an interesting debate, and I just feel like we in dentistry need to spend more time focusing on the reasons why we do something. I could open up good point. I could open up the protocols that we have written at my office and show you the rationale we have why we do a crown on your tooth.
Yeah.
Right. And I would, implore the other dentists listening, have that document at the ready that you can share with your team. And if you need a document, if you go to upgradedental.com and we'll post mine. You can feel free to edit it if you don't agree. Thank you very much, Dave. As always great having you on the podcast.
Thanks, Bryan. It was really interesting.
Thanks. I also want to remind you to rate and review us wherever you're listening to this podcast. And if you have suggestions or comments, please visit theoperatory.com and drop us a line. Again, I'm Dr. Bryan Laskin, host of The Operatory. Thanks for listening. I look forward to speaking with you next week.